As the summer months were over for another year, track maintenance had to be done. Tracks all over the island were to be inspected and relayed so they would become more stronger and the engines would run more of their trains. One day, Henry was to do track maintenance at the tunnel, where it was bricked up many years ago due to his vanity about his green paint getting wet. Edward pulled into the big station with ballast wagons from the Arsdale Miniature Railway on the Little Western. Henry coupled to the wagons with the breakdown crane and the workmen, and they set off towards the tunnel. For a few days the weather was dull, and Henry was upset. He hated the rain. At the sheds, Percy began teasing him about it. "I hope you find new tunnels, Henry," he teased. "It's the perfect weather for it." Henry was cross. "Well, maybe you should find a nice flooded lake to bathe in. That's enough to keep a common shunter like you to rust." The two green engines argued about their mishaps until Edward told them to stop. "Stop your bickering, you two. There are more stories than us in the clergyman in his son's books, you know." "What do you mean, Edward?" asked Percy. "Why, I remember many years ago, a young lady by the name Maggie Smith had a dreadful accident to herself." The other engines stared at the old engine. And so this is the story that Edward told the other engines about Maggie Smith. Many years ago in 1926, an engine was making its way towards the mainland with its last passenger train for the day. However, a woman named Maggie Smith missed it, and since she had to get back to the mainland, she decided to do one thing. She was walking her way back towards the last station. However, due to the excessive rain, she decided to take shelter in the tunnel. But what she failed to realize was that the goods train came screaming down towards the tunnel. Maggie Smith just stared. She didn't move a muscle. The train stopped just outside the tunnel, and all they found was her bag, umbrella, and hat. And so every year on the day of her death, a shadow of her former self looks upon the hill and stares at the berth, regretting her choice. "Huh! That's just a load of rubbish, Edward. Good night." And he went crossly to sleep. The next morning it was still raining, and Henry steamed his way towards the tunnel once again with more ballast wagons. While Henry was spending the time with the workmen, he kept thinking about Edward's story. Maggie Smith, he muttered darkly. Late that evening, the workmen were nearly finished with the track relay, but as the head workman was about to finish the work, he spoke to Henry's driver and fireman. "We might not need Henry tomorrow. We have a little bit of line left, so you can take some of the empty trucks back to the big station." Henry was pleased. What was that? Stuttered Henry. Then a whistle was heard. Then the workmen spotted something strange on the hillside. A woman was looking down at one of the berths of Henry's tunnel. Henry knew who it was already. No, it can't be. Maggie Smith! Then she vanished, as if like magic. The workmen rambled into the unit carriage, and Henry raced away towards the big station. The next day the weather improved, and Henry was making his way back to the engine sheds. But as he arrived back, the engines were already wide awake. "Where have you been?" asked James. "Did you find your journal to stay in after the wet weather?" teased Percy. But Henry puffed in towards his berth next to Edward. Edward could see what Henry had faced last night. "It's all right, my dear engine. I know what you faced last night." But Henry would never think of Henry's tunnel the same way again.